Today's top story is about an innocent man who had to wait for 11 years to be acquitted. And do you want to guess what he was falsely accused of? That's right. Five women accused him falsely of sexual harassment, and he did 3 years in prison for this, despite no evidence whatsoever. And we now know that because those five women admitted that they've made it up. But I guarantee you that this is the first and probably last time you hear about this story, because Western media does not report on things like this much. If you're liberal, this is the story that CNN thinks is important to you today. And if you're a conservative, this is the story that Fox News thinks it's important today. But I believe that this is the story that should be the most important to you, because this can happen to any man at any time. And you know what? I've only been doing this for like a month, daily men stories, and I'm already sick to my stomach how often I have to report on this. A bunch of women falsely accuse a man to get back at him or whatever of sexual harassment or sexual assault, and he has to go through hell and lose his entire life in order to get acquitted, and nothing happens to women. Like in this case, this wasn't even a celebrity. He's just a regular English professor who caught five women cheating during an exam, and in order to get back to him at him for having women be held responsible for their actions, they've decided to accuse him of sexual harassment. And guess what? The prosecutors, despite the lack of evidence, decided to move forward with it, and he was convicted for 3 years, only after years and years and years and years of challenges. He finally got in front of the judge and was acquitted, and the judge cited no evidence whatsoever. And like I said, these women admitted that they lied, and this happens all the time. He's not a celebrity. This can happen to any man anywhere in the world, because there's absolutely no punishment for the women, who should be absolutely locked up in prison, or for the prosecutors who prosecuted an innocent man with no evidence whatsoever. They should be locked up in jail as well. However, that's not the world that we're living in. If you're in America or a European country and many other countries, if you say or do something that a woman happens not to like, or you hurt her feelings, she has all the power to ruin your life, because the system is made for her to do this to you. False accusations based on no facts or just feelings is much more important than evidence, even in court. This is the most important story of this year for every single man watching. And like I said, kudos to some of the publications in India, because this happened to India. But in India, don't fool yourselves, this can happen anywhere, to actually talk about it. Though I got to tell you, as I went through the story, they just kind of lazily reported on this. It's pretty short, and that was pretty much it. It didn't really call for the actions of changing the laws, going after the prosecutors, going after the women every fucking time these women get away with it. That's why they keep doing it. This is why this is a thing. And make no mistakes about it. If you live in a Western country, specifically if you live in the Western countries, you're a target. Now, I don't want to say that this happened to me. Something similar, and not at all on this grand scale, happened to me multiple times in America. And let me know in the comment section if it happened to you as well, where you did or said something that some bitch didn't like, and she decided to accuse you of something you didn't do. Now, again, it was just on such small little pieces and parts of my life, and I could easily recover from that. But this is a strategy that modern women know that they can have, because the enormous power that they have. And when you give women this type of power and encouragement, they become the shittiest species on the planet. So if you think that it's not gonna happen to me, never happened to me, fuck, it just takes one time, boom, it's over. I've reported already 3 or 4 times in the last month stories exactly like this, and media loves to jump on this, right? Loves to jump on this. I just reported a KTLA story the other day that has no evidence whatsoever. They admitted that in their story, while having the title of the story that man committed a sexual assault. Media loves jumping on this, right? Including those 5 hockey players who were falsely accused many years ago. I think it was 7 years ago, and only now finally got acquitted in Canada, right? Lost their careers, money, lives, reputation, and everything. So this happens all the time. And when the truth comes out, nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck, right? This is not a story unless you somehow cover and care about men's issues and men's rights. And I feel like this is like the only channel. You know how hard it is to get these news into this news segment? I probably spend, I mean, all of the stuff that I do for my channel, and I have a personal life, obviously. I'm here in Thailand, and my friend, the biggest part of my day that I spend is trying to dig up some of these stories, just a little extra facts, because even this story has very little. I tried to reach out to the guy. He doesn't have any social. I looked high and low. I couldn't reach out to him to see if I can interview him because I'm sure he has a lot to say, right? Um, and this is the world that we live in. And unfortunately, when elections come, most men don't care about their own rights. They care more about trans rights or immigrants' rights or whatever it is. And I'm an independent. I'm not taking sides here. I think both left and right in America and every Western country really doesn't give a fuck about men. Really doesn't really have anything on the agenda that would help men's rights. And I know that right now it looks like people believe that Republicans are in favor of men's rights because that's part of the reason Trump won in every single way, because he appealed to a lot of men. But again, a lot of men don't know that the last really bad anti-men law that was passed was signed into law by Donald Trump. Right now, of course, Kamala Harris on the other side, made many crucial statements, the anti-men statements, that was very clear that she was going to only move the feminist agenda forward and step more and more on men's rights. At some point, gentlemen, we have to demand that the politicians that we vote for actually care and move the agenda forward for us men in America and other countries. So please think hard, research your candidates, because there's another election coming up in America and a few others coming up in Europe. Start demanding that people who want to represent you actually care about you as men, where shit like this cannot just happen. We have to pass laws that people who are responsible for this, locking a man up with no evidence for false accusations, that these people go to jail. The prosecutors, everybody who gave false statements, and definitely the women accusing men of something that has never happened. Otherwise, this is just going to be a national pastime in your country at some point. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmanproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your life.